Hey guys, and welcome to Swami Studios. I am your host, Moonlight Swami, and today I'm bringing you my series of my player Josh Gibson series. Wrote 800 home runs. And you know what, guys? You know what? You really want to know what? Today's episode is on the Flying Dutchman, Honus Wagner. Johannes Peter Honus Wagner was born February 24th, 1874 in Carnegie, Pennsylvania. He was one of 9 children, but he was forced to drop out of school at age 12 to help his father and brothers in the coal mines. His brothers and he used to spend their time playing in sandlots, you know, like the movie. And actually, 3 of his brothers became professional baseball players as well. But they are not as well known as he is. So, his nickname was the Flying Dutchman because of his German descent, the fact that he played on the Pirates, and his speed. He played for the Pirates for all but 3 years of his career, where he played on the Louisville Colonels before they were forced to shut their doors when the league contracted from 12 teams to 8 in 1899. Honus Wagner had 8 batting titles, tied for the most all-time with Tony Gwynn Jr. I think that's Tony Gwynn Jr., or is it just Tony Gwynn? Either way. This is just a nice statistic. I said that I feel like he did it right. He married Bessie Bain Smith in 1894 at 20 years old. He had 3 daughters, but they were all after he retired from 1918 to 1922, which is odd because that means that his wife would have to have been pretty old for that time to be giving birth, and the risk would have been very high. But, you know, he did wait, and I respect him for that. He waited until he could devote his time to them. So I'm going to go over his stats. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1936 in its inaugural year, only behind Ty Cobb and tied with Babe Ruth for the highest vote percentage all time. Historians say he was the best shortstop to ever live, better than any other one, better than Ozzie, better than Cal, all of them. Best all time. That's really something. He was a .327 lifetime hitter, 3,418 hits approximately, and 1,732 runs batted in, which is remarkable for the dead ball era. It's almost 100 RBI a season. So he played on the Louisville Colonels from 1897 to 1899, like I said. In his career, he had 27 steals of home plate. He was the first person to ever steal second, third, and home in succession, and he did that 4 times in his career. Or the most. Led the league in the most. I don't know. It was something like that. In 1905, he became the first player to sign a contract to produce a bat with a player's signature on it. So he is the original Michael Jordan, except with a baseball bat instead of shoes. That's really something. He retired in 1908, actually, but he came back out of retirement for $10,000, the highest paid player of his time. In 1908, actually, the league ERA was .235, which was the lowest all-time, and Wagner still boasted a .354 average and 109 RBI, which is considered by many historians the best season for any baseball player ever. In 1903, he played the Boston Americans, I believe that's what their name was. Played the Boston franchise in the World Series, and he batted .222. He had a bad series. It was best of 9 back then in the World Series, apparently. It was the inaugural World Series, and they lost 5 games to 3. And, well, it was in an autobiography by Christy Mathewson that Mathewson said, "He was very sad that people considered him poor in the clutch. It hurt him more than anything else in his career." Now, that's really something. He was a bit of a sensitive guy, but he did make up for it in 1909 when he beat Ty Cobb and the Tigers, which was more notable just because he outbatted Cobb by a lot at age 35 when Cobb was 22. He batted, I think, .330 and Cobb batted .230. So it was a good World Series for him. In 1914, he collected his 3,000th hit. In 1916, he became the oldest player to hit an inside-the-park home run, and he retired in 1917. Wagner ended up dying in 1955 at age 81, after also coaching the hitting coach for the Pirates. His number 33 was retired. He wore that as a coach because he played before numbers were actually on their jerseys. And in the early days, it was the first collection of baseball cards, the T206 cards. It was produced by the American Tobacco Company, or ATC, which was to draw in people to buy tobacco, when it was really, people knew there was something a little bit wrong with it, but it wasn't, like, bad. Well, Wagner, to my recollection and to a lot of historians, was against smoking, and he forced them to stop the production of his card because he did not support them. With that being said, between 57 and 200 of the cards were made, which makes his card one of the most expensive and rarest baseball cards to ever exist. The market price in I think it was 1920, was $50. It was sometime pretty soon after. It was $50, which was a lot back then. I mean, you could get into a movie for 25 cents. That's, consider that now, it's like $9.99. It was probably like $300 back then. It's probably up in the high thousands now. But yeah, so that is my little bit on Honus Wagner, the Flying Dutchman, probably the best shortstop to ever live. And now I'm going to answer the top 3 comments made by you guys. You will see them on the screen in 1 second. I will be right back. Okay, so the first question comes to us from Lime Green Elevator. Nice name. The question is, read the dead ball era. Was it the ball or the players that became lively? Babe Ruth marked the change in eras, but players began trying for home runs. Personally, I think that the baseballs had probably the biggest impact on the game. Babe Ruth definitely did change the game in his power style and just how he played, but I think that if the baseball didn't have the cork in them, which started back in the 1901, I think that, and then being able to see better, I think the change in baseballs is truly what made the dead ball era more lively and lead to the live ball era. That's just my opinion, but that's what I think. Great question. Okay, this question reads, Moonlight Swami, if you could meet any baseball player from any era, who would you meet, what would you ask him or her first, and why? Okay, B Wildcat 2, fantastic question. And my response is, I would ask Shoeless Joe Jackson if he honestly committed the crime of betting on games in the Black Sox scandal. I know that doesn't seem like really anything, but Shoeless Joe Jackson is one of the most infamous baseball players of all time. And I'm going to go into why with all the Black Sox scandal, but it's definitely interested me a lot in baseball history, and I do want to know if he did it, why he didn't stop it, and I would love to meet the guy. I'd love to see him play, and I'd love to do all that stuff. So, thank you, B Wildcat, for making me really think about this one. That was the third take on doing that. So, thank you, and fuck you. And the last, but definitely not the least question, or least important. Okay, and the last question is, from Penn State Fan 94, what team do you think is the most dominant team in baseball history, and why? Okay, so this one definitely took a lot of thinking. And, well, actually, there are a few of them. If you want to consider the pitching aspect, I'd probably have to say it was the Orioles from the early 60s. Well, from the 60s in general. Jim Palmer and all those guys. Best two-man rotation was Warren Spahn and Jimmy Sane. The old saying is, Spahn and Sane, then pray for rain. That's what the Braves did, as I overthrow third base. But I think it's a toss-up between the Murderers Row Yankees and, well, I don't really think any team could compare to that. I haven't seen a real dominant force in baseball since then, but I might have to say the Yankees of the 90s, or even the Braves of the 90s. The Braves had won, what, I think 17 straight division titles? I mean, that's honestly ridiculous. So I think it's going to be, I think it was between the Yankees of the 90s, the Murderers Row Yankees of the 20s and 30s, or, well, the Braves of the 90s, even though the Braves only won one World Series, and the Yankees did win, I believe, four or five. Let's see, they won in 2000, they won in 99, or was that 98? It's 98, I think, 97 and 96. So I think it was four in that period. The Braves won in 95 over the Indians, and they were also known as the team of the 90s. So if that's any consolation, but I think the most dominant team in baseball history, honestly, was the Braves. They had fantastic pitching. They were consistent. Javi Lopez and Chipper Jones, the early part of his career. I really can't name more. It's a very difficult question. And, you know, I will be talking about the Black Sox scandal in an episode coming up soon. But guys, this episode is pretty much over. It seems like the time just flies by. I'd like to thank Lime Green Elevator, Penn State Fan 94, and B Wildcat 2 for your fantastic questions. If you guys would like to be featured in my next video after the Black Sox scandal video, and Pete Gray, because that's going to be my next video, then by all means, please leave me some intelligent questions, and I will be sure to answer them. Guys, I'm Moonlight Swami. I hope you enjoyed. 400 average after 3 weeks of the season. Gibson's on fire. 2 home runs, 11 ribbies. Going to be about a 59 overall after this. I'm Moonlight Swami. I hope you enjoyed. Remember, leave those questions. I'll be sure to answer every one of them that I don't use in the comment section below, and I will answer the best questions in my video like I did today. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll be talking to you guys later. Peace out.